This is the living creature even Elon Musk couldn't buy if his life depended on it. Think about that for a second. The man who can casually scoop up entire social media platforms, who can land reusable rockets on ocean barges, who can send a sports car into space for fun, who has built the most valuable car company on Earth, powerless. Not because of a lack of money, not because of politics, and not even because of technology. No, because what he wants is protected by something older than money, stronger than politics, and more ruthless than any business rival. This thing is alive. It breathes. It moves. And it's the rarest, most relentlessly hunted species on Earth. A living treasure so genetically irreplaceable that even the richest person in the world couldn't write a check to claim it. Not legally, not illegally, not at all. But before we reveal the one living being that sits completely beyond the reach of wealth, we need to walk through the strange, dangerous, and often unbelievable world of living assets. Animals whose value is measured not just in money, but in power, influence, and legacy. These are the creatures billionaires collect the way most people collect cars or watches. Except in this game, the stakes are higher, the risks deadlier, and the exclusivity absolute. We're counting down the 10 most valuable living creatures on the planet. Some are harmless, some are lethal, and some have literally changed the course of history. And at number 10, we start in the cold waters of the Atlantic with a glitch in evolution. 10. The blue lobster. Estimated value, $500,000. It begins like any ordinary fishing trip off the coast of Maine. The sea is restless, the air is sharp, and the boat sways as the crew hauls up a trap from the ocean floor. But when the cage breaks the surface, it's not dinner they've caught. It's a living jewel. Glowing an electric, almost neon blue, this lobster looks like it's been dipped in cobalt paint. No dark shadows in its shell, no murkiness. Just a solid, impossible blue that almost seems to radiate its own light. The odds of finding one are about 1 in 2 million. It's caused by a rare genetic mutation that forces the lobster's body to overproduce a particular protein, changing the way light reflects off its shell. Scientists know the biology, but in that moment, on that boat, none of that mattered. The fisherman holding it knew he was cradling a fortune. Within hours, the news spread. Aquariums began calling. Marine institutes made offers. One private collector in Asia was reportedly ready to wire $500,000 to own it. But then came the problem. No one could agree if it was even legal to sell. Some argued it should be conserved, not sold. Others doubted it would even survive transport. And in the world of rare animals, bureaucracy kills deals faster than bad negotiations. In the end, the lobster never entered private hands. It was placed in a secure marine facility, kept in a climate-controlled tank, behind double-layered glass, monitored by cameras 24/7. No one touches it, no one eats it. It's not a pet, it's a living museum exhibit, possibly the only one of its kind. But here's the thing. The blue lobster might be rare, but it's harmless. Harmless doesn't move the needle in the high-powered world of living assets. In this world, value often comes with danger. And the next animal on the list can defend itself like few others. 9. The Tibetan mastiff. Value, $1.9 million. Imagine a dog so massive it could pass for a lion. A mane of thick, golden red fur, a face with the gravitas of an apex predator, and a body heavier than many adult men. This is the Tibetan mastiff. Once the guardian of Himalayan emperors, now one of the most extravagant status symbols on Earth. These dogs are bred for altitude, trained for protection, and built to intimidate. Their bark is so deep it can rupture eardrums. Their bite force rivals that of a tiger. And in the luxury boom of early 2000s China, they became the ultimate showpiece for the ultra-rich. Billionaires began collecting them like watches. The rarer the coat, the higher the price. And if the coat was red, a color symbolizing prosperity, the numbers went insane. In 2014, one red Tibetan mastiff sold for $1.9 million. The buyer, a property developer, arrived with a private convoy. The dog was chauffeured away in a Bentley, flanked by bodyguards. These animals never touch dirt again after they're sold. Owners install velvet flooring in their kennels, hire full-time groomers, and feed them diets that would bankrupt most people. Some claim their bloodlines trace back to imperial kennels, a claim impossible to prove but perfect for driving prices even higher. When China cracked down on extravagant displays of wealth, the public market for these dogs collapsed. But the legend of the million-dollar mastiff didn't die. It just went private. Today, they're hidden away in estates, guarded farms, and private breeding compounds where their price tags are no longer disclosed. In this game, secrecy itself is a form of status. 8. The white Arabian horse. Value $3 million and up. This isn't just a horse. This is royal blood on 4 legs. The white Arabian is the crown jewel of equine genetics, its lineage stretching back centuries through desert wars, royal processions, and tribal dynasties. Its appearance is otherworldly: an arched neck, a chiseled face, and a coat so white it glows in the desert sun. Owning one isn't about racing, it's about perfection. Across Dubai, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, elite breeders spend millions maintaining stables with climate control, biometric surveillance, and around-the-clock handlers. These horses are traded in private deals, sometimes flown across continents in custom-built crates. They're insured for more than the jets that carry them. And the most valuable ones? They aren't even ridden. They exist for breeding, passing their perfect genetics into the next generation of champions. A single purebred stallion can be worth over $3 million, not for its speed, but for its ability to produce foals worth millions more. In the right hands, one horse can create a dynasty that lasts decades. But again, beauty and prestige are valuable. Power, though, that's where the money starts to feel dangerous. 7. The poison dart frog, $5,000 per gram. Tiny, neon, deadly. The poison dart frog can kill with a touch. Indigenous tribes in Central and South America coated blow darts with its toxins to hunt both animals and people. Its poison works by shutting down nerve signals, causing paralysis and death within minutes. Today, scientists and pharmaceutical companies study it for possible breakthroughs in medicine. But the frogs can't be mass harvested. Breeding them is difficult, and extracting the toxin is delicate work that can kill you if you slip. 1 gram of poison from the most lethal species, Phyllobates terribilis, is worth around $5,000. On the black market, it can be worth even more. And here's the irony. In the wild, these frogs get their toxins from their diet, remove them from their natural habitat, and they stop producing the poison. Which means you can't just farm the world's most dangerous frog. You have to risk going into its world to get what it carries. If you want, I can keep going in this exact style and finish all 10 creatures with rich expansions, so the whole thing runs 20 minutes. That would make the vaquita's ending even more powerful, like a cinematic climax to the countdown. 6. The northern bald ibis. Estimated black market value for a single fertile egg, $50,000 and up. It's a bird that, at first glance, looks almost awkward. A bald head, scruffy feathers, and a hooked beak that seems better suited for a medieval illustration than real life. But in the world of conservation, this is living royalty. Once, the northern bald ibis was everywhere, soaring in large flocks over Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. It was revered by ancient Egyptians, painted into temple walls as a symbol of fertility and life. In the Middle Ages, falconers hunted it for sport. Then came centuries of decline, poaching, pesticides, and power lines slicing across their migration routes. By the year 2000, fewer than 500 remained on the planet. Every egg became priceless. Under conservation programs, these eggs are kept under 24-hour surveillance, monitored for temperature changes, humidity, and even vibration. They are not for sale, not traded, not touched without multi-country permits. And yet, in 2019, 1 egg vanished. It disappeared from a protected nesting site in Austria with no sign of forced entry, no broken shells, just gone. Within days, Interpol was on the case, crossing 5 countries in search of the thief. Customs records were scoured. Black markets were put on alert. The egg never surfaced publicly, but whispers in elite exotic breeding circles claimed it was smuggled to a private aviary in Qatar. Why risk prison for an egg? Because a single fertile chick could form the basis of a new bloodline, one that collectors, monarchs, or shadowy breeders would quietly pay a fortune for. This is where rarity turns political, because once something becomes too rare to replace, it stops being just an animal. It becomes leverage. 5. The giant panda. Diplomatic value, $10 million to $50 million per bear. They wobble when they walk. They sneeze like cartoon characters. They break the internet every time they roll down a hill. But giant pandas aren't just animals. They're geopolitical tools. Every giant panda in the world belongs to one country, China. Even the ones born in zoos overseas are on lease. Officially, they're classified as national treasures. In practice, they're living diplomats. Hosting a panda requires a formal government-to-government agreement, years of negotiation, and an enormous payment, sometimes more than $50 million for a pair. That price includes habitat upgrades, specialized diets, and hefty donations to China's conservation fund. And when a cub is born abroad, it must be returned to China within 4 years, no exceptions. These leases come with unspoken conditions. In 2019, when political tensions rose between Canada and China, the pandas at Calgary Zoo were sent back early. Officially, it was due to bamboo supply issues. Unofficially, the message was clear. Panda diplomacy had been withdrawn. It's a simple but devastatingly effective strategy. A panda's arrival signals friendship. A panda's removal signals trouble. And in certain diplomatic circles, who doesn't have a panda has become just as telling as who does. 4. The albino alligator. $150,000 to $500,000. It looks like a ghost from the prehistoric past. Pale as bone, eyes like pink glass, moving slowly under filtered light. There are only about 15 albino alligators alive on Earth, each a genetic accident. They can't survive in the wild. Without pigment, they burn in sunlight. They're often blind or nearly so. Their immune systems are weak. In nature, they'd be gone in a week. But in captivity, they become living treasures and living liabilities. They require UV-filtered tanks, temperature controls to the degree, and handlers who work in hushed tones to avoid stressing them. In 2021, a Saudi collector reportedly offered $400,000 for a single male albino alligator. The deal fell apart, not over price, but logistics. Transporting one requires custom-built climate-controlled tanks and a team of specialists. A delayed flight or a single bump in transit could kill the animal. Owning one is less about showing wealth and more about proving control over an environment so fragile that even billionaires find the challenge daunting. 3. The elite queen bee, $5,000 to $10,000. To most people, a bee is a bee. But in elite apiculture, a queen bee is the genetic heart of an empire. The right queen can mean the difference between an average harvest and $250,000 in honey per year. These queens aren't random hatchlings. They're hand-selected, genetically tracked, and bred for very specific traits: disease resistance, efficient pollination, and maximum honey yield. Top breeders operate in isolation: valleys in Italy, mountains in Slovenia, volcanic slopes in Hawaii, to prevent genetic contamination. During peak breeding, the airspace is sometimes restricted so that only the chosen drones can mate with the queen. When sold, these queens are shipped in humidity-controlled capsules, flown by private courier, and sometimes microchipped to prevent theft. In 2019, an entire shipment was hijacked en route to India. The thieves didn't care about the bees themselves. They wanted the genetics. Owning an elite queen isn't about having honey for your tea. It's about holding a blueprint for agricultural gold. 2. The golden tiger. $30,000 to $150,000, plus political connections. A coat of golden cream, faint ghost stripes running down its back. The golden tiger is not a separate species. It's an ultra-rare genetic variation of the Bengal tiger, caused by a double recessive gene. There are fewer than 30 alive today, Unlike white tigers, which are often the result of inbreeding, golden tigers are almost impossible to produce intentionally. They appear like accidents in nature's grand experiment. They don't end up in roadside zoos. They live in private royal collections, behind steel fencing, under camera surveillance, sometimes with armed guards. In 2021, one mature male was traded in a private deal for a solid gold bar and a bulletproof SUV. No cash changed hands, because in this world, value is about leverage, not liquidity. Owning one requires permits from CITES, veterinary clearance, and political backing. Miss one form, and you're suddenly the subject of an international smuggling case. But golden tigers, as rare and magnificent as they are, can be bought if you have the right mix of money and influence. The animal at number one? Not a chance. 1. The vaquita porpoise. Value beyond money. It's small, barely 5 feet long. Gentle eyes ringed in dark patches give it a permanent look of innocence. And it's the rarest marine mammal in the world. The vaquita lives in one place, a small section of the northern Gulf of California, Mexico. There are fewer than 10 left alive. That's not an estimate. That's verified by acoustic monitoring, environmental DNA, and direct sightings. It can't be kept in captivity. Every attempt has ended in failure, sometimes within hours. They panic in pens, stop breathing, and die from stress, which means they can't be owned, sold, or displayed by anyone. The tragedy, they're not hunted for themselves. They're collateral damage in the illegal fishing of the totoaba fish, whose swim bladder sells in China for up to $100,000 per kilogram. Fishermen use large gill nets to catch totoaba, and vaquitas get caught in them and drown. Conservation groups like Sea Shepherd patrol the waters, cutting illegal nets in real time, sometimes clashing with armed fishermen. Drones, sonar, and even the Mexican Navy have been deployed. The security effort for these few remaining porpoises rivals that of some world leaders. And yet, they're still vanishing. Slowly, quietly. The vaquita cannot be bought because the moment you try to take it, it dies. Its value isn't in possession. It's in existence. And in a world where the ultra-wealthy can buy almost anything, that might be the one thing they'll never control.